And just to make sure everybody's up to date on the Pac-12 tiebreaker situation in the South Division, even though USC and Colorado are both 4-0, one of Colorado's wins out of the conference against San Diego State. So USC at 4-0 in conference, also with the college football playoff ranking of number 20 entering this week. We would expect that to jump a few spots at least after the nice effort against Washington State. Colorado was not in the rankings last week. Probably will push into the rankings somewhere, but that would be the tiebreaker as it stands right now. So if anybody would do any scoreboard watching, I would think that would be Colorado as they take on Utah and needing USC to falter, whereas USC controls its own destiny to the Pac-12 championship game. And to your point, Matt, this is a team that, despite winning 4 consecutive games, you could separate the first 2 versus the second 2. The first 2 games were Houdiniacs in the final seconds, pulling out 2 touchdowns in the final 4 minutes against Arizona State. Then the next week, they needed touchdowns in their final 2 drives against Arizona, a team that they should whip, and they just looked shaky. Then they come in against Utah, and even though they didn't crush Utah, it was a game on the road against a capable team, and they clearly were the better team. They controlled the game, especially in the second half. And now against Washington State, they just blow them away. So USC really hitting on all strides. And the defensive performance, again, I mentioned it off the top, especially in the defensive backfield, I thought was tremendous against Washington State.
Yeah, and I think the defense, and who was it? I believe it was Elijah Griffin. He was on Instagram Live, and somebody asked him, "What is it about the defense that you like? That you like about this year's defense?" Because someone said it seems like you guys are playing with more energy, and Elijah Griffin said, "We're playing more freely. We're playing with more aggressiveness. We're playing with more energy." And a lot of people question if Todd Orlando was, the guy. And there was something I noticed with USC's defense was that they move a lot more aggressively, that they're playing a lot more aggressively, and they're playing with more energy. So that's a huge thing. But as you mentioned, against Utah, started off shaky, but against a reasonable opponent in the South in Utah, that's a good showing. That's a showing that they need, especially after the last second win against Arizona State and again the lackluster showing against Arizona. So again, these are games where they have to play with that energy and bring it, especially against UCLA, especially with a mobile quarterback. And Mark, as well as I do, USC and mobile quarterbacks don't go hand in hand. I don't know why, but it's been a thing since the Pete Carroll era where mobile quarterbacks just haunted USC. So it's going to be something to watch to see what packages they draw up for Dorian Thompson Robinson, to see how much pressure they put on him to try to contain him and to try to make him beat them with his arm. So that's what I want to see as well as against the UCLA run game. And they did well against a team who loved to run the ball in Utah. You saw how well they were doing against Utah, stuffing the run, something that we don't see as often. But again, with mobile quarterbacks, they have to contain them. And Dorian Thompson Robinson, he is good at making plays when things break down. So but USC, I think USC's defense is a little bit faster, this year, and they move with more energy. So that's going to be something to watch.
DTR can make plays with his legs, but at the same time, he also is prone to make the big mistake and multiple mistakes. And USC flying to the football could cause some serious disruption there. Keaton Slovis at 72%, 10 touchdowns, 2 picks. A lot of talk, as we discussed right here, concerning his arm strength, his health, his shoulder, all of that. Has that pretty much been dismissed here in the last couple of weeks?
I think it has. Especially this last game, you didn't hear much about, we gotta, something's up with his injury, with his arm or something like that. No, he looked, I could say he looked impressive, You know, he looked really impressive, and the talk kind of died down. You know how things are. You do well, you don't hear as much talk about it or anything. So I think the talk kind of died down for now. You know, it kind of settled down for now. But again, this is going to be interesting. You know, UCLA is, I believe UCLA leads the conference in sacks. They have 18 sacks this year. So they get, they're known to get to the quarterback as well. The defense have been improved. It's an improved defense. But at the same time, USC's offensive line has not been, they haven't been world beaters. Let's put it like that. They have not been super impressive. They looked impressive against Washington State, but again, you're going up against a team against against a UCLA team who has 18 sacks. So they're gonna have to figure out how to get the ball out their hands quickly. Two, UCLA is going to look at trying to contain the USC receivers. Remember, this was the UCLA defense last year who gave up 100 yards to 4 different wide receivers. I think that was, that's like, I think the third time in history, in NCAA history, that's happened. So they're going to find a way to contain those guys. And I got to see, as well as everyone else, we're waiting to see how is USC going to look against teams that play a heavy zone. I think we're going to see a good dosage of the run game this weekend against UCLA, especially if UCLA rushes 3 and drops 7 to 8 in the coverage.
Well, it is certainly the best the Bruins have looked in the Chip Kelly era. 4-8, 3-9 the last 2 years, and they win 3 consecutive games after losing the first 2. USC won this game, of course, last year in a shootout, 52-35. They're a 3-point favorite at the Rose Bowl against UCLA, and USC controls the Pac-12 and certainly looks like the best team in the conference, with everybody else outside of Colorado just beating each other. Matt Lowry on the line, Conquest Chronicles, SB Nation. Please join him and the rest of the staff right there. Get yourselves set for USC and a UCLA. Matt, enjoy the game. I'm always tuning in for this one because I'm a college football traditionalist, and this is right up at the top.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Again, just to see how everything plays out with USC. It's a big game. Also, it's a win-in-your-in situation. And we've seen USC how well they've played in win-in-your-in situation. So this is the one right here, and this is going to tell if USC can add on another one, or if we're going to see disappointment once again. I mean, it's going to be a huge blow to their season if they lose to UCLA the last regular season of the game. So this is the one for USC.